I'm 19 years old. I've just left Mackay after finishing the certificate at TAFE, and I have nowhere to live. I don't see mum or dad. I'm close to them, but for some reason, they're not close to me. I wonder if dad still blames me for mum leaving him. I'm not sure. I'm in Annerley in Brisbane, and the night feels particularly dark. It must be getting late. I knock on the door of dad's place, and surprisingly, mum answers. Dad and my brother, who I've not seen in a few years now, are both in bed. I was hoping to see them. Mum, do you think Dad would be okay if I stayed here the night? Oh, I don't think your father would agree to that. Oh, before I forget, these are yours. I've had them a few years. They're clean. Mum hands me a plastic bag with a pair of my old underwear in them. I put my bag back on my shoulder and say bye. Across the road, there's some newly built units with some freshly laid turf. I can sleep there. It'll be safe enough. I place the plastic bag under my head as a pillow and try to fall asleep. It's too crinkly in my ears. I get up, walk back to Dad's, knock on the door. Mum, do you mind if I make a call? I hand her a 20-cent piece and she points to the phone. My ex-boyfriend's mum is lovely and knows me well. I call her and she says, stay put, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I hop into the car. We get to her place, she makes me a cup of tea, a warm bed and some toast while I have a shower. I can stay there while I figure out the next part of my life. I'm lucky though, I have my Auntie Katie, who I've always been close with. I dial her number, 355-7257. Katie asks, have you heard from your mum or dad since you've gotten back? I went over to Dad's and strangely Mum was there, but Dad was in bed. I asked Mum if I could stay and she said no, Dad wouldn't be happy with that. Weird, given Mum hangs out at brothels and likes to shoot up, but anyway. Maybe I'm adopted. Why do you say that? What? What do you mean? Oh dear, I think you'd better come over to Grandma's tomorrow as we need to have a talk. I lay awake all night, tossing and turning while my thoughts race all over the place. The following morning's blurry. I don't even know how I travel all the way from McGregor to Arani Hills. Maybe a few buses at least. My feet are dragging me to the door, but I'm kind of floating at the same time. I walk in and there's Grandma, Auntie Katie, Auntie Donna, all staring at me. I sit down, Grandma comes straight out with it, and she says, Mick is not your dad. Your real dad's name is Art Connell. Here. These are some newspaper clippings about him. Mick met your mum and they got married when you were 2. It's a few months later and thankfully I'm living with Grandma now. I start noticing kind men wondering what it must be like to be an older man who is kind. During my shifts at the Gaythorne RSL, I strike up a conversation with a man who must be in his 70s. He's softly spoken and has these gentle, kind, wise eyes. One of the stories he's telling me is about when he worked at West Leagues Club back in the 70s. No way! I know that Art Connell used to play football there in the 70s. Did you know a football player there, from there at the time, called Art Connell? Yeah, Artie Connell. Lovely guy. Now you can completely understand I have to tell him what I've recently uncovered. There's a little bird inside of my heart singing a tune that's like a gentle, warm, fluttery hug. 10 years go by. Life is good. I'm 29, I'm living in social housing in Sydney with my reason to live, my son Alex, who's now 8 years old. I still don't think Mum and Mick even realise I know. Since having Alex, I've taken on a lot of self-development and therapy in the hope of being the best parent I can be. That was my commitment as a 21-year-old. In between work and uni study, I'm beginning to think more and more about my real dad. I wonder what type of person he is. I wonder what he looks like. I wonder if I look like him, or if Alex does. It's quite the lengthy therapeutic process, but I make the decision to contact my father. The only approach, though, would be to write a letter to his place of work. and send it to his place of work. I've lived with this knowledge the past 10 years, and he has not. Hours of letter writing later, I'm ready. It feels right. I call up where I think he works. The lady on the other end says he's no longer there, and for privacy reasons won't give me any information. In a little bit of desperation, I tell her I'm searching for him because I think he's my biological father. Oh, wow! Well, he is a lovely, kind man. I will find out what I can and get right back to you. My heart feels warm. There's that little bird again. It's a bright, sunny Wednesday morning and I'm up the back of the 412 bus on my way to uni with music in my ears. I look down and there's an 07 number calling from Brisbane. Great! It's the lady calling me back with the address. Hello, Mairé speaking. Oh, hello there, Mairé. I received a message to give you a call. My name's Art Connell. My heart starts beating so hard it might burst out of my chest in the seat in front of me. I'm trying to control my breathing before I become the bearer of stunning astronomical news. You should sit down if you aren't already. I have reason to believe that you're my biological father. Really? Yes. I give him details of my mother. I'm focused as I try to recall phrases from the strategically respectful and considered letter, trying to be succinct, unlike the atomic bomb currently dropping on him. It's a good conversation. He has a really nice, warm, kind voice. I'm almost at uni. Would it be okay if I call you later when I get home? And I'm on a bus. Of course, he says. Here's my number. The birds are singing in the tree-lined walkway up to UNSW, and I bounce on into my uni class. It's like I know myself for the very first time. I tell everyone in the tutorial what's just happened. I no longer have to align myself with a mother who just wasn't a mother. I close that difficult yet necessary door the last time I saw her back in '96. My phone rings. It's Art. He wants to save me the expense of calling. He can place my mother. I saw her pushing a pram and she snubbed me. I thought it was because of the new guy. I think to myself, not because you, my child, were wrapped in the blanket under the pram hood. My mother was tall, slim, with wavy strawberry blonde hair that fell down her back, enchantingly positioned, chiseled cheekbones on her face, set next to her green eyes. All the men wanted her. After a lengthy chat, Art and I hung up. He'll call again in a few days, as there's a conversation he needs to have with his wife. I stare at my phone like I'm a 13-year-old waiting to hear from my crush. It's Friday. Aside from our non-stop general chit-chat, filling him in about how Alex's soccer is the soccer he ever so kindly paid for, he says while his family are utterly shocked, they're pleasantly amazed by the news, but it's probably a good idea to do a DNA test, just to be sure. Art tells me he wants to pay $1,000 for the test because he's sure it's true and it makes sense. It's amazing, unbelievable, and thoroughly enjoyable getting to know each other as father and daughter. He's a really lovely, caring person, which is a stark contrast to Mum. The weeks pass, he comes down to Sydney whenever he can to catch up in person. The DNA test is due any day now. After staring out the window looking at the postman, finally it arrives. Art will be receiving the letter that day too. Alex is watching The Simpsons while I put some dinner on. I'm walking into the kitchen thinking of Grandma and how she used to open letters with those old letter openers. Dear Miss Starkey, Ree, Starkey and Connell, enclosed is the original copy of the DNA parentage testing report showing that Arthur Raymond Connell is not the biological father of Mairé Josephine Starkey. In that moment, my entire world goes quiet. I walk into the sunroom, climb on the table with my face in my hands, and I just say over and over again, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? Alex walks out and says, Mum, what's the matter? Couldn't speak. Who the hell am I? Perhaps I come from the clouds, from a stork. Alex goes to stay with a friend while I fall into deep depression. The birds stop singing. Art's calling me every 30 minutes. I cannot speak to him. He paid for that damn DNA test, $1,000. I'm a fraud. 5 days of drowning in depression, I get an email from Art. Dear Mairé, I hope you do not mind me sending this email. I just felt I needed to talk with you in what is probably the most difficult time in your life. I too am shocked. The main purpose of this letter is to tell you that I only met my father 12 years ago, after being fatherless for most of the previous 50 years. I do not hold you responsible in any way for how this has turned out. It took a great deal of guts to do what you did. Mairé, I hope we get to talk with each other soon in an open-hearted way without any recriminations or apologies. The thing is, the birds don't ever stop singing. The gentle songs and the warm flutters are always there, even when it seems like they're not. I was lost and I did not know who I was, but through weathering the storm, I discovered the essence of me, my strength, finding any kind of hope while meeting some incredible people dotted along the way, including a few wonderful, kind older men. 2 years ago, I did find my real dad, my 89-year-old grandma, an amazing uncle, amazing aunt, 4 new gorgeous cousins, and I'm really lucky and happy to tell you they're wonderful, smart, funny and kind, just like me.
Oh.